There we go. We are live, and our guest today is Jan Lagast, founder of Impact Builders. Welcome, Jan. Welcome from India. I'm in India. You are in Estonia right now.
From from Estonia to the world, we say hello and love you. But I'm actually originally from Belgium, so we were born close to each other, but now we're like conquering the world. Let's say. Thank you for
Yeah,
having me on the show, Jim.
it's my pleasure. Yeah, how are you doing, and how did you end up in Estonia?
That's a long story, but I will make the short version. Actually, we
Yeah,
have from Impact Builders, we're actually having two activities. First of all, we believe that a business can have a positive effect on or a positive impact on society. I mean, this is like what drives us from the basic. And we have two activities that help that dream realize. One is an advisory firm, which is an international, virtually organized firm. And on the other side, we have a startup studio. And Estonia is a fabulous, great country to build startups and to make them grow, because the bureaucracy is so low, because everything is digital. Well, that's the main reason why I have the. Originally, it was our second office, but now it's the headquarters actually of our international activities are here in Estonia, and it's a lovely place to be. It's incredibly also to feel the original authenticity of this old medieval town. So the walls behind me are the real original walls from somewhere 1300 something, and it's a really nice place to be. Very nice people to work with, very high quality of people, very digital country, and it's a great place to be here for to create and raise startups.
okay. So if I hear you well, then you are telling that a digital world is making you happy.
Well, some aspects of it are making us happy, and some aspects are pretty scary. So it's like it's. I think it's with everything. It's like hate and love together. So it's there's two aspects, and it brings me to one of the purpose topics that we are more into, because we can say, yeah, we want to make companies relevant for society, but what does it mean? Well, one of the things that we are doing is to create a righteous digital bureaucracy, so that at least if everything is digital, you're not screwed by it, to say it
Yeah.
honestly, bluntly, but that
Uh-huh.
it's righteous, that it's just. Another part is to increase the relevance of jobs, and that does not necessarily have to do with digital, but I think digital tools can help a lot, because what we see, and then we come into the future of work topic immediately, Jim. And what you see is that if you start to reduce the hierarchy and make it more fluid, and and open up the boundaries of your company to external persons that work sometimes with you, the whole IT paradigm from the 60s, or even before, when it was created, was made to get the information to the boss and to the top, and the security is ensuring that everything stays inside the company. And this is just opposite to what the future of work wants to achieve. So at this moment, a lot of tools are just blocking the introduction of the future of work. So it's not, the future of work is not about digital only, but there is so many aspects that need to change fundamentally. And the whole IT world is made for the old paradigm. So that makes it very often very difficult. And I see a lot of managers with the best intentions to change the way the company works, then being like hit on the wall because of the old systems and the old structures. So do I like digital? Yeah, of course I do. But there is some aspects to it that we need to be careful with, I think.
Yeah, and I suppose you also get frustrated when you see the waiting times running up by taking away an operator that was on the phone by an answering machine over or an automatic bot or yeah, whatever you have
Yeah.
to do, like.
Yeah, you see that a lot of people are trying to make products and then think that a bot will help the customer.
Yeah, yeah,
Actually, it's a very good system to get rid of customers, but I'm not sure if that's the main intention of the company in itself. But you see it happening a lot, and what we see is that if you automate or try to automate certain topics without really thinking about it, you're actually automating shit, and then it's like shit comes in, automated shit goes out, and it's a disaster. And
yeah,
so getting software and tools as close as possible to users, I think it's a challenge. And it's a good topic that you mentioned, because what we see is that a lot of technology is now being created as a global technology on a global platform with as least human intervenience or interventions as possible. But it starts to be generating a lot of crap and a lot of frustration globally. So I think for many of these large organizations creating these big tech platforms, it's a huge challenge to stay as close to the customers and to users as they can, and that's a huge challenge. And everybody struggles. It's not an easy thing, because you try to multiply a service which is typically a human interaction. You try to multiply that. You really have to think it very through. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect in that, but we're trying to create the tools that we are having in our startup studio. So we have our own startups that we create because we see certain things going wrong in the industry. And one of them is now a tool to make it possible for managers to keep the overview when they are introducing the future of work. Yes, a Fluxion tool, not going to make too much promotion, but anyway, we're creating the tool from our experience of doing it ourselves. And so we're not just making technology because we love it. We make technology in real situations that we encounter in real companies, in which we are thinking like, how could we have improved this here? And I'm not saying it's always going to work. It's probably also sometimes not working for a certain number of companies, but because we're so close to that customer, I think is for every kind of digital tool is very important. And that's what I think is a benefit, and every IT company should do that. But it's not easy to solve, by the way.
Yeah.
And definitely not to investors. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
What's the role of human connection in a digital world?
I think this is never changing. Even when this metaverse or whatever virtual reality is there, I think everybody should understand that there's always two humans on each side of the transaction or on each side of the call, and it's still humans, and everything else in between is just some technology that helps you get in touch with each other. But in the finality, it's two people on either side. And so the better the connection, the better the transaction. This is not changed at all by technology. Only technology can block it, or technology can enhance it. And I think this is key. And even if you see, because of course the human interaction is also going on the happiness at work. Yeah, let's bridge to your field now, so that I can see. Oh, I can see you smile right away now. So everything. Even I used to say that in B2B marketing, I was in that field for a long term, and I said I've never seen a company make a decision. It was always humans, and the way humans interact as a group of people is different than how they interact for themselves. That's true. That's why we might talk about B2C and B2B, to understand personal buying behavior and organizational buying behavior. Or when we talk about feeling in family life and your personal life and your business life or your work life, this is because you're in groups of people, and the interaction of that group of people makes you happy or not. But it's always people. There can be machines in between, but it's always people in the end. And I think this is one of the things that if people speak about the future of work, I sometimes hear them say, yeah, but we do that already because we use Zoom or Teams. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, but that's not the future of work. That's doing whatever way of working you did for the last 20 years, and you just use a new tool and you force people to work at home. And when people are speaking about using Zoom and then or Teams or whatever system they want, or whereby or something like that, you often hear them think like, and what I would really love, I've had bosses saying this, what I would really love is that I could follow the keystrokes of my workers when they're at home. And I was like, this is not definitely the future of work. I think this is the way back, the oldest way of working that you can get. In your diagram, that would be 0D or something. If I see the diagram, that's nothing to do with the future of work. The future of work is that you allow people to have more self-determination, also more transparency, because that's what the other side often forgets. They think now it's party time, we can do what we want. No. It's collaborating, it's transparent, it's talking about how can I improve my job, how can the outcome be transparently reported and measured. This is the future of work. And if you do it right, it doesn't matter if you're using tools or not. I mean, it's just the intentions of both sides, and the concept of the way they organize work is key. And then I hope that you have a tool that you use to make it easier if people are not on the same spot, like we are today using a tool to make it possible to have like one recording as if we're sitting next to each other. The only reason why people know it's not is that the walls are different. But for the rest, it feels like we're working together in the same place now. That's cool, but it's still you and me interviewing each other and talking to each other. So it's the same thing. And I think the importance is that in the future of work, we see the concept and the way that we organize work, and we use the tools that we think are the best at the moment that we need them. But it's not because we use a tool that we can say, now we're modern, now we're using the future of work, which is very often misused by bosses to say, no, we do that already. Now, what's the next topic? We use software. We have our people working at home, and then they calculate the number of burnouts, and they go like, getting high. And then it's like, yeah, but that's probably because they're afraid of COVID. That's nothing to do with me. Yeah, that's the kind of concept. We use the modern tools. They can work at home. What's the problem? Yeah, and then they don't realize that these people live with the whole family on a 40 square meter apartment, where 4 people at the same time, 2 students are following courses and 2 parents are working from home, and people think that they are happy now because now they can work at home or something. I mean, it's so much misunderstanding on this topic, and digital is only a means. It can never be a goal.
Yeah. What are the main pillars of the future of work?
I wouldn't call like, it's not like a limited set of things. It's actually, it starts with intention. Yeah. So it's like they're on multi levels, but I think the first thing, it starts with the right intention, and the intention to, as a group, create a certain impact. And it doesn't have to be always impact on society. I mean, that's great. Yeah. And it's good that some companies follow purpose and planet and everything, but to understand together that you want to create a certain impact on businesses or on other companies or on customers, that's, I think, the first thing, that you have that common understanding. And it's understanding. It's not, I mean, you can just decide this is it, and if I don't feel attached to it, then I leave, and if I feel attached to it, then I'll join. At least that's where it starts, that we all together see this is the bigger picture, what we're doing. And this bigger picture is typically shared as a dream. So it's not something that you own. People think very often it's our strategy. Yeah, it's our strategy, but it's the goal or the dream that we want to share. Mm-hmm. And the dream is never yours. It's always something that you want to share with others. And that's where it starts, I think. And that dream can be many things. And it can be composed of many concepts. That is purely depending on how you, as a company or as a management team or as an ownership team, want to create that dream. From there on, I think the most important thing is that the structure of the organization is clear. Even if it's very hierarchic, I think clarity makes already a big difference, and understanding what my part in that bigger game is, I think, is very important. Mm-hmm. So, of course, I prefer organization to have more like unhierarchic, flat, self-steering teams. This is better. But I think it starts with having clarity of what is my role as a person in this bigger picture. And I think that's one of the most missing aspects. I mean, even if I want to go to a job and I say, I'm fine to just make money and do something that I think I can do very well, which is not planetary, which is not meeting and talking with people all the time, but I like this job and I can do it very good. And I know how this job helps to be relevant in the bigger picture of our company. I think a lot of people would already be a lot more happy than just doing jobs that people are telling them, like, you do this, you do that. But why? Why am I doing this? So I think making it clear what the organization as a total organization structure is, and where you fit in that bigger picture, and how that role that you have makes sense to the bigger picture. I think this is the second part, is the dream, and how does this reflect to me as a person, irregardless the choice, if it's Spotify model or if it's steel or if it's that. That's all better. I mean, it's not. I mean, I'm not saying they're not good. They're really good. But I think that the most essential part is understanding what is my role in that bigger story. And then the third one is making, because this is static. The dream you put on paper. Here is a dream. Here is my role. This is not that static because it will change over time. But at least for a while, it stays the same. And then the dynamics, I think, are the most tricky part. So when you switch on, like you switched on, now we go live, Jan. Yeah, now the company goes live, and now people start to move and do things and depend on each other. That it is clear in that role, that it is fair. It's just, it gives you the opportunity to grow. I think that is also a very important factor, that you feel like you don't have to feel like one big team going to whatever kind of mountain and climbing all together. This is the team building activities like they were sold to us in the 90s, and then some teams go home with much more damage than when they entered it because they understand that they can't go along with each other. But that's a different thing. I think the most important one is that in those dynamics, people feel that they are like respected, that is correct, that they're coached, that they're not helpless there, that they're not like bullied or being called names because they did something wrong. That's the feeling. But then I think, Jim, this is really where you are in with the happiness at work, that there is this kind of a secure feeling that what I'm doing here, I'm doing it right, and I'm appreciated for it, and I get respect for it. To me, that are the three. It's the one is a strategic, it's more the highest level. The other one is organization structure, and the third one is like the dynamics of it. And I actually, well, again, not to make the whole time publicity, but this Fluxion tool that we're launching it today. So thank you for having me on the 1st of March. So the new version is live now, is actually giving this overview. Where do I fit in the total organization? I mean, like, what's the organization? Where do I fit in? And if the dynamics are going, I start to understand who is depending on who, and who should I call to have certain information. And it leaves the managers from the micromanagement and trying to forcefully control everybody. Like, is everybody doing the right things now? Changing that towards outcome, so that they can follow the results and not the effort. And I think if that can work, the tool could help. But if you're not, I mean, just as an example, I think this tool can be a wonderful tool, of course, otherwise I wouldn't build it. But I also believe that it's not the tool that's going to change. It is the people, the organization that has to make this possible. And then what we do is only to give them a tool that helps them, not blocks them. But the main thing is intention of the management team. And I also think it can only start from the CEO or whoever, whatever title you put on that person, who is at this moment on top, and who is what I sometimes call the epicenter of the decision taking. Yeah, that's where, when there's the epicenter on the earthquake, that's where the epicenter of the decision taking is. That's the responsibility. That's where it has to change, because it cannot just change somewhere down the line, and then on top it's the old school. So somebody has to decide, and this is the weird thing about self-steering organization. It's very dictatorial. So you need a dictator to say, now you have to self-steer, and everybody has to self-steer. And from that moment on, it can be very democratic. But somebody has to dictatorially say, you have to be democratic. It's a bit of a concept conflict, but this is how you introduce it, actually. Otherwise, it's not going to work, because you can't mix concepts and cultures and DNAs of a company, because then you get like a, how do you say that? A pigeon stable or something, or a chicken stable.
Yeah. What I see in a lot of autonomous teams is that one, or the direction is missing, so that everybody is like doing his own thing on his island. So that's one thing. So for me, I think you really need like a captain on the ship, just showing this is the direction. How you go there, okay, that's up to you. You know it better than I do. So, but somebody who for sure has the idea, the dream, like you are telling, this is my dream. We go into that direction. Another thing is what I'm sometimes seeing is that in these teams, like result with, in fact, is the reason why a company in the end exists. That for these teams, like sometimes it feels like autonomy is more important than result. But yeah, that's like a conflict. So what do you think about that?
Well, there's a couple of things you mentioned, and the first one is about the captain. Yeah, because I mean, of course, you reflect to the fact that I say that there is an epicenter who is dictatorially introducing the self-steering or the autonomy. It can be a couple of people, by the way. It doesn't have to be one person, but very often it's one person, or it's one person saying it on behalf of 2 or 3 other people that are on the management team or something like that. So, but the point is, and this is the first trick. Actually, that's what I've seen. If you have a captain here and you consider this person to be on top, and then you create teams one level down, then you create hierarchy, even if you tell them to be self-steering. So the first thing to do is put the captain there and say, and go from the other side. The very easy thing to do on an org chart, but it's very, very important. And then it's important. I mean, you might have heard about the octopus. I'm now trying to show it a little bit, but it's in the mirror, so it's a bit difficult. So that if the captain is somewhere down here, that each of them has a couple of people that are autonomously defining how their team should be operating, and that they can cross to the others without having to pass to the captain all the time.
Yeah.
And the best way to do this is by having one person in each team who is responsible for the connection with the management, and making sure that this person is not leading the team, is not doing the people talks, is not doing the like the meetings and is not the president of the meetings. So that the president of the meeting is a real team coach who is also, again, a supportive person, supporting the team and not dictating the team. And the connection with the CEO or the captain or whatever you call it should be somebody who is just like asking for support and not be the one that is the typical leader of that team, so that you have a disconnect there.
Yeah.
And I think this is already a big trick, because otherwise you automatically create a hierarchy again, and it depends on the quality of the team members if the team lead is able to let it loose or not. And that's gambling, actually. That's let's see what happens. So that's already a very, very important factor there, and it's not that easy to find it out. I just found it by talking to a lot of companies, and I said, okay, this makes sense. And then, of course, how to describe the role of the outcome. So each team should understand, this is what we expect from you. And yes, they might even challenge it and say, hey, this is crazy. This is not the result we can realize with this team, or maybe this is even too easy for us. Yeah, let's put the challenge a bit higher. So at least I think everybody has to understand for each of the teams, what is the scope of our team? What is expected from us? Because you've got supporting teams, like legal department or finance department, for instance. They can just, what's their role? They used to be the ones very close to the sun and dictating, I'm the financial manager, so you should do like that and that and that. But maybe you should define it differently and saying, we are the financial team. We're going to give you the data that you need to self-steer. Because it's great to self-steer, but if there's no dashboard, you've got a problem. Then you hit the fence. Yeah, so every kind of department needs to rethink what is our role in the bigger picture. And this one is also something that you cannot just let it go. You have to help them. And I recently described it like you create a game board, like the carton game boards. And actually somebody has to say, this is the game board. These are the pieces of the Monopoly. This is the money. This is the set of rules that we use to play the game. And now you can play the game. And that's actually how I see the role of the usual top, which now is the bottom, to create the board game that gets results. And that's also why I think you need a lot of advisors to help you to do that, because this is not an easy task. It requires a lot of insight in dynamics and you have teams dynamics and the teams dynamics with the others dynamics, and there is levels of complexity. There is so many things that I think in order to do this right, you need an advisor a couple of times, not all the time. Yeah, you need the Jim Lippens Association or organization to get to understand certain things. and then you need somebody who can help you set it up and challenge it and have the questions, who can see from a little distance how this could lead to results.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as the playground is set, you can let it go. You can let, as an advisor, you can say, please, now you can run the game, and you call me in every 2-3 months to see if there's any optimizations that I can do. But as soon as the game is set or is laid out, you can actually let it go, and then you need the right manager. But this manager is not typically the one that can understand all those complexities to create the game board. So that's why I think there is a role for external people to help to lay out the game board. Then the managers or leaders, or however they're called, should start to play the game. And then I think you need coaches on many places where you used to have middle managers saying you should do that and that and that, and I report to the boss. They're gone, but you need people that can coach and say, what I see in this team, the dynamics is not good, the construction is not good, there is this destructive, negative attitude and things like that. So that's why you need the coaches over the long term. But I think as an organization, the majority of the idea is let's create a new board game, and then make a fantastic play and win the monopoly. Yeah. Make sure the bank loses.
Yeah. That was some free advice from you. Last question. Last question. When is Jan Lagast happy at work?
In moments like this, Jim. I try to find as much moments that I can make people happy, and that we can, as a team, make people feel like, yeah, damn. So the best thing that makes us happy is that a client says, wow, or a user of a tool says, wow, this is great. That's what makes us happy. And then I try to have that every day, which is not possible, of course, but we try. And I'm very happy that you made me happy at work today, Jim, because it's a real honor to be in the Indian stage that you created now.
Well, yeah. Thank you very much. Our time is up. So thank you again for being our guest, and all the best in Estonia.
Thank you very much, Jim. And let's meet in Belgium when we are there, the two of us, in a couple of weeks.
We will do for sure.
And thank you for watching and listening.
Yeah, bye-bye.